Have you ever walked into a hospital and felt, even if only subtly, a heavy energy, a weight that seemed to cling to your very breath? Maybe it was just anxiety, you think. But what if I told you that, according to messages psychographed by Emmanuel, the spirit who worked side by side with Chico Xavier, these sensations aren't always imaginary. What you're about to discover now may surprise you, because emergency rooms, places that should be places of help and hope, can become veritable energetic traps, laden with pain, fear, and emotions that go far beyond the physical body. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn will change the way we view these environments and how we can protect our own energy even in the most difficult moments. Imagine a silent hospital corridor, where every footstep echoes almost spectrally. Patients wait, family members watch with concern, and professionals try to remain calm in the face of extreme situations. From the outside, everything seems routine, but Emmanuel reveals to us that, spiritually, the energy of these places is complex and often suffocating. It's not just sadness or physical pain that hangs in the air, it's intense emotions accumulated in seconds of despair. Silent tears, suppressed screams, and the constant fear of loss. Each emergency room becomes a magnetic field of dense feelings, capable of influencing not only those who are there to receive care, but also those who accompany and work in this environment daily. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever felt that inexplicable feeling of heaviness, as if you were carrying something that wasn't yours? Emmanuel describes how these energies, when not understood, can profoundly affect people's spiritual balance, making them vulnerable to negative thoughts, anxiety, or even extreme emotional exhaustion. And most intriguingly, we don't always realize we're being impacted. Therefore, understanding these spiritual messages is essential for those seeking not only self-knowledge, but also ways to navigate the modern world with greater serenity and protection. What makes these revelations even more fascinating is that Emmanuel wasn't just talking about theories or abstractions. He described real scenarios, experiences lived and observed in hospitals, revealing details that many would never notice. Each account is a window into an invisible universe, a warning about how the energy that surrounds us can influence our choices, our emotions, and even our health. And that's precisely why the topic we'll explore today is so relevant. Understanding the energetic trap of emergency rooms allows us to see beyond the physical, helps us recognize subtle signs, and, most importantly, teaches us to maintain our own light even in the midst of pain and suffering. Throughout this video, you'll discover nuances few know, spiritual secrets that Emmanuel shared through Chico Xavier and that remain extremely relevant today. We'll explore how these emotionally charged environments affect us all, and what we can do to protect ourselves without losing our sensitivity or compassion for others. Prepare for a journey through the invisible, where every detail counts, where each emotion carries a frequency, and where learning to identify these energetic traps can transform your perception of what it means to be truly present, even in places of pain. And it's precisely from this point on that everything begins to reveal itself in a more profound way. What you'll discover next isn't just about hospitals, but about ourselves, our vulnerabilities, and the ability to maintain our energy intact in the face of seemingly ordinary situations, yet charged with spiritual significance. Have you ever walked into an emergency room and felt something inexplicable, as if the very atmosphere of the place weighed on your shoulders? It may seem like just the natural tension of a hospital, but Emmanuel, the spirit who worked with Chico Xavier, revealed something that goes far beyond what meets the eye. According to his psychographed messages, emergency rooms carry not only patience and physical suffering, but also an emotional density that often goes unnoticed, but which affects everyone who enters that environment. What you're about to discover now may surprise you, because what appears to be hospital routine hides a universe of accumulated energies and emotions that form true spiritual traps. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this hidden reality can transform the way you perceive any space of pain and suffering. Imagine a hospital corridor, silent yet tense. Patients await news, Family members hold their breath, some weep softly, while others pace restlessly. Every gesture, every anguished thought, every intense emotion is not lost. It accumulates in the air, creating a heavy energy field that spreads throughout the room. Emmanuel described how even healthcare professionals, with all their experience, can feel the impact of this energy and often leave their shift exhausted, not only physically, but spiritually. It's not just the visible pain or despair that affects the environment, but the complex emotions that circulate and intensify in seconds of urgency. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever felt that sense of oppression or emotional exhaustion, even without being directly involved in a critical situation? Emmanuel shows us that these experiences are not coincidences. They are manifestations of the energy density accumulated in the room. Every silent tear, every suppressed sigh, every thought of fear or anxiety contributes to a charged environment. And those who enter unconsciously can end up absorbing some of this energy. It's as if the emergency room has its own vibration, an emotional frequency that influences everyone: patients, family members, and professionals. And the way Emmanuel recounts these observations is both fascinating and educational. He doesn't just describe scenes, but teaches us to notice subtle signs, to understand that each hospital is more than its walls and equipment. It's a living space where every emotion carries weight, every thought resonates, and every act of compassion or despair alters the energetic balance. For example, the suppressed crying of a family member at a bedside is not just a human reaction. According to Emmanuel, it's an energy that spreads throughout the environment and can affect the recovery or emotional state of everyone there. A doctor facing a complex emergency, even without realizing it, also carries part of this burden. And this dynamic creates an atmosphere that may be invisible but deeply felt. Throughout the video, you'll see how these spiritual messages from Emmanuel reveal something many are unaware of: that physical suffering is only superficial, and that the hidden spiritual reality of hospitals influences everyone. Together, we'll explore how this energy manifests, how it impacts the lives of those present, and most importantly, how we can begin to recognize and deal with it consciously. Understanding this invisible universe is the first step toward protecting our own energy and bringing more balance. Even in environments filled with pain and urgency, and it's at this point that the story begins to deepen, revealing nuances and details that go unnoticed by those who observe only with the eyes of the body. What Emmanuel observed in the emergency room tells us much more about the fragility and strength of the human spirit, and also about the silent impact each emotion has on the invisible world around us. Have you ever entered a hospital and felt an invisible pressure on your body and mind, as if something was draining your energy without you being able to understand exactly why? Perhaps you thought it was just fatigue, anxiety, or the natural tension of an emergency room. But Emmanuel, a spirit who worked with Chico Xavier and whose psychographed messages brought profound spiritual reflections, shows us that there's something much more subtle and real going on. Emergency rooms can become veritable energetic traps, charged with accumulated negative emotions, and it's possible that, without realizing it, you end up absorbing some of this burden. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now can transform how you deal with energetic environments and, most importantly, how you protect your own spiritual vibration. According to Emmanuel, these energies aren't limited to the physical pain of patients. They encompass the suppressed despair of afflicted family members, the silent tension of doctors and nurses, and the avalanche of negative thoughts that arise in critical situations. Every tear, every anxious sigh, every worried look contributes to a heavy atmosphere that spreads almost imperceptibly. But at the same time, this energetic density offers profound lessons for those who wish to better understand life and the mechanisms of the spiritual world. Teaches us that by recognizing these traps, it's possible to adopt simple and effective actions to avoid being sucked into this energy and, further, help balance the environment around us. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever noticed that, even after leaving a hospital or a place of great suffering, you remain with an inexplicable feeling of fatigue or restlessness? Emmanuel shows us that these reactions are not accidental, they're natural responses of the spirit to environments charged with dense vibrations. But there is a way to protect yourself. Attitudes of serenity, conscious compassion, and positive thoughts are powerful tools for creating an energetic shield, even amid the tension of an emergency. And we're not talking about abstract theories. These are guidelines validated by Chico Xavier, who recognized the authenticity of Emmanuel's messages, reinforcing the authority and relevance of these teachings for our practical lives. By applying these lessons, every hospital visit or crisis situation also becomes an opportunity for spiritual growth. The presence of balanced energy not only protects those who emit it, but can also soften the environment and help those in distress feel more comfort and hope. Emmanuel shows us that we are not merely passive receivers of the energy around us. We can consciously influence the space we occupy, maintaining our own light and radiating calm, even when the world seems charged with tension. This awareness transforms how we relate to the suffering of others and how we deal with seemingly common but energetically intense challenges. It's clear that understanding the energy traps of emergency rooms not only helps us avoid absorbing negative energy, but also helps us learn to act more consciously in any emotionally charged or tense situation. Every gesture, every positive thought, every act of serenity becomes a powerful tool for maintaining spiritual balance. And it is precisely at this point that Emmanuel's message connects deeply with all of our lives, demonstrating that spirituality is not something distant or theoretical, but a living practice capable of directly influencing our energy and well-being, and it is from this understanding that we can begin to realize that what happens in the spiritual world directly reflects on our daily lives, and that small changes in the way we behave and think can create a profound impact, not only on ourselves, but also on everyone around us. Have you ever entered a hospital or even another place laden with pain and suffering and felt an invisible weight, sense of fatigue or restlessness that seemed to settle in your body and mind? Perhaps you attributed it simply to the stress or tension of the moment, but Emmanuel, the spirit who worked with Chico Xavier, reveals something profound. These environments can accumulate dense energies, created not only by physical pain, but by intense emotions of fear, despair, and anxiety. And each person who passes through there can feel and even absorb part of this burden. What you're about to discover now may surprise you, because there is a way to stay balanced, to manage your own energy, and still radiate light, even in the most charged places. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this reality is the first step to transforming the way we connect with ourselves and the world around us. Emmanuel reminds us, through the messages psychographed and validated by Chico Xavier, that each emotion has a frequency, and that suffering, when accumulated and not understood, can become a true spiritual trap. But he also shows us that there is a conscious path to dealing with it. By observing carefully, we realize that we are not merely passive recipients of these energies. Can choose how to react and how to contribute to transforming the environment we live in. Pain, whether our own or that of others, does not need to become a permanent spiritual burden. On the contrary, every gesture of serenity, every positive thought, and every act of compassion can radiate light and help balance not only our own energy, but also the collective energy around us. Have you ever experienced moments when it seemed impossible to remain calm in the face of others' suffering, feeling their sadness or fear seep into you? Emmanuel teaches us that this experience is common, but there is a way out. When we become aware of our own vibration and the influence we have on our surroundings, we learn to protect ourselves without losing our empathy. Each conscious breath, each positive thought, and each gesture of compassion acts as a tool for balance, allowing us to be a serene presence even in painful situations. It's a lesson that goes beyond theoretical spiritualism. It's a real practice, applicable to everyday life. It connects us with the deeper meaning of life and spirituality. This reflection leads us to realize that places of suffering, such as hospitals or spaces where pain manifests itself intensely, need not be seen only as sources of emotional exhaustion. They can also become opportunities for growth, for strengthening one's own energy, and for learning how to interact consciously with the invisible world. Emmanuel shows us that spirituality manifests itself in a practical way when we understand that, even surrounded by dense emotions, we can keep our inner light burning. Every act of serenity, every intention of compassion, and every conscious choice about how to react to emotional stimuli influences not only our own lives, but also the collective energy of the environment. As we reflect on this, we begin to understand that caring for our own energy is an act of responsibility and love, both for ourselves and for those around us. It's an invitation to observe the world more sensitively, to recognize that our emotions and intentions have an impact, and that, even in the midst of pain, we can choose to be light. And it is precisely from this realization that the understanding emerges that true spirituality is not just a concept, but a living practice that transforms not only who we are, but also everything around us. ... And as we reflect on all this, it's impossible not to realize how each experience, each emotion, each conscious decision can impact not only our own energy, but also that of those around us. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most or any experience you've had in places charged with energy, such as hospitals or situations of intense suffering. Knowing how each person connects with these teachings and shares their experiences creates a space for empathy and collective learning, making our community even stronger and closer. And if you feel that this kind of reflection and spiritual message truly adds something to your life, liking the video is a way to show that you want more people to have access to this content. Each like helps the channel reach those who need these reflections. Allowing Emmanuel's words, psychographed by Chico Xavier, to continue reaching more hearts and minds open to spirituality. Furthermore, subscribing to the channel is more than a simple gesture. It's a way to connect with those seeking to better understand their own energy and the influence of the spiritual world on our daily lives. By subscribing, you ensure you won't miss any reflections, any profound messages that can transform the way we live and relate to the environment and the people around us. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, strengthening a community of learning, empathy, and spiritual connection. And while you think about this, already feeling how these ideas can apply to your own life, let's continue exploring together how to keep our light burning, even in the densest and most challenging places. Discovering step by step how to transform each painful environment into an opportunity for balance and inner growth. ... Have you ever walked into a hospital and felt something you can't explain? Perhaps a sudden weight on your shoulders, a restlessness in your chest, or that strange sensation that the place carries more than just walls and medical equipment. It's almost as if the environment has a life of its own, breathing along with the patients and absorbing every tear, every sigh, every distressed thought that circulates through the hallways. Many dismiss these perceptions as the result of anxiety or fatigue. But Emmanuel, a spirit who worked with Chico Xavier, shows us that there's much more behind this feeling. Emergency rooms can become veritable energetic traps. Not only for those suffering physically, but for family members, companions, and even the healthcare professionals themselves. What you'll discover here isn't a far-fetched theory. It's a hidden truth. Profound revelations about how the energy of a place can influence our mind, body, and, above all, our spiritual journey. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding these energies goes beyond simple curiosity. It's about realizing how each environment charged with pain and urgency can impact our mindset, our decisions, and even the rhythm of our daily lives. Emmanuel describes how each emergency room, even if it appears neutral or silent, functions as a veritable energy field. Every suppressed tear of a distressed family member, every stifled scream, every gesture of impatience or fear creates an emotional frequency that spreads throughout the environment. It's an invisible dynamic, but one that affects everyone there. Patients can feel this density even before being seen. Companions absorb emotions that don't belong to them, and healthcare professionals often leave exhausted, not only physically, but spiritually, as if carrying a weight that wasn't originally theirs. Interestingly, these energy traps don't appear in an obvious way. There's no visible warning or audible signal indicating that the place is charged. They manifest themselves in subtle sensations, a sudden chill, a tightness in the chest, an unexplainable uneasiness. But Emmanuel reveals to us that by learning to perceive these subtleties, we can develop a more refined awareness of our own energy. Recognizing when we are being impacted by external forces and when our emotions are being manipulated by the environment. This knowledge is a powerful tool for transforming the way we experience our daily lives, allowing our inner light to remain steadfast even in seemingly difficult situations. Now imagine the everyday scene of a hospital, silent corridors, doctors rushing back and forth, nurses concentrating, patients waiting for news, and families trying to control their anxiety. Every gesture, every emotion, every thought contributes to a mosaic of energy that spreads almost invisibly. Emmanuel describes that this density is not just the result of physical suffering. It arises from the combination of fears, expectations, and emotional tensions that accumulate, forming a kind of magnetic field of heavy feelings. For those unprepared or unaware of this, the experience can be destabilizing, generating mental confusion, emotional fatigue, and even changes in health. It's as if the environment transmits a type of information that resonates with our body and spirit, shaping our emotions without us even realizing it. The most fascinating thing is that, by understanding these traps, we begin to see hospitals and other energy-charged places from a new perspective. It's not just about avoiding negative impacts, but about learning to consciously navigate this field, maintaining our spiritual integrity while radiating serenity. Emmanuel teaches us that, even in the midst of pain, it is possible to be light. Every act of patience, every thought of compassion, and every gesture of understanding acts as a kind of internal compass, helping us maintain balance and avoid getting lost in the collective energy of the environment. And as we understand this phenomenon better, we realize it's not limited to hospitals. Any place of great suffering or intense emotion, be it a waiting room, a tense workplace, or even a conflict-ridden family gathering, can become a similar energy field. What differentiates those who remain balanced from those who allow themselves to be affected lies in the awareness of their own energy. The ability to perceive what belongs to them and what is absorbed from outside. It's a true lesson in spiritual responsibility, and how our emotions and decisions influence not only our experience, but also the surrounding environment and the journey of everyone who shares the space with us now. I want to invite you to feel this even more intensely. Mentally observe the places you frequent, especially the most emotionally charged ones. Feel for any kind of heaviness, any restlessness that arises for no apparent reason, and reflect. How do you react to these energies? How do they affect your mind, your decisions, your interactions? This simple exercise of perception is already the first step toward transforming your relationship with these spaces and with energy itself. If you're feeling this connection with me right now, write in the comments, "I'm on this journey too." I want to know how you perceive these experiences, what sensations arise, and how this resonates in your own life. Your participation not only strengthens this reflection, but also helps create a safe and conscious space where we can share experiences, learnings, and small revelations about the energy that surrounds us and influences our daily journey. Have you ever been in an emergency room and felt something you can't explain? Perhaps you noticed a kind of invisible weight, a sense of unease or emotional exhaustion that seemed to arise from the environment itself. It's not just the situation you were experiencing. Many believe it's just nerves, anxiety, or the natural tension of a hospital. But Emmanuel, the spirit who worked with Chico Xavier, shows us that there's a much deeper, hidden reality. Emergency rooms carry an energy that goes beyond the physical, formed not only by the pain of patients, but also by the fear, anguish, and anxiety of those who accompany and care for them. It's as if every tear, every sigh, and every distressed thought accumulates, creating an invisible frequency that impacts everyone who enters this space, even without realizing it. What you're about to discover now may change the way you view these environments and how you perceive the impact of energy on your own life. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because understanding this invisible dimension is essential to understanding how our emotions and thoughts are influenced by our surroundings. Emmanuel reported, through psychographies validated by Chico Xavier, that each emergency room functions almost as a microcosm of intense human experiences. Each person who passes through, their whether patient, companion, or professional, contributes to the formation of a charged energy field. The desperation of a family member at a bedside, the silent fear of someone waiting for news, the constant tension of doctors rushing to respond to multiple emergencies, all of this combines and propagates throughout the environment, creating a density that often goes unnoticed but profoundly influences everyone's mind and spirit. Imagine the bustling hallways, the crowded rooms, the sound of hurried footsteps and medical equipment alarms in the background. Every detail is a piece in this invisible mosaic of energy. Emmanuel described how human emotions, even those unexpressed and silent, build up, forming an atmosphere that can be felt almost like a subtle weight on the body and mind. It's not just a matter of imagining or exaggerating perceptions. He showed clearly and in detail that this energetic impact exists and can alter the way we feel, the way we think, and even how we recover from traumatic experiences or illness. It's a hidden truth, a layer of reality that many ignore, but which can completely transform the way we relate to emotionally charged environments. Have you ever left a hospital or a place of great suffering and felt inexplicably exhausted? Emmanuel explains that this happens because we absorb some of the energy accumulated in the environment, even unintentionally. It's as if the mind and body are involuntary receptors of everything that manifests there: fear, despair, anguish, and even pent-up anger. The impact is real, and awareness of this dynamic is the first step toward understanding how to protect ourselves and interact with these spaces more consciously. He teaches us that it's not about distancing ourselves from empathy or compassion, but about developing a refined perception of our own energy, learning to discern what belongs to us and what is external now. Imagine a patient waiting for care, holding the hand of a silently weeping family member. Beside them, a nurse tries to remain calm in the face of an urgent situation, and a doctor rushes to attend to another critical case. Every gesture, every emotion, every thought forms an energetic wave that merges with the environment. Emmanuel describes how these waves propagate invisibly, and that those who are unprepared or unaware can feel suffocated, anxious, or exhausted, even without being directly involved in the situation. It's a lesson in how collective energies impact individuality and how spiritual perception can reveal dimensions of reality that we normally ignore. And the most fascinating thing is realizing that these observations are not just abstract or symbolic accounts. Emmanuel details real-life scenarios, describing how each emotional and physical element contributes to the hospital's energy field. He invites us to see environments from a new perspective. Every emergency room, every quiet corridor, every space of pain is also a space of learning and perception. How we react, how we maintain balance in the face of this energetic density, and the awareness we develop of our own feelings can transform not only our personal experience, but also the collective energy of the place. This understanding brings a sense of responsibility and, at the same time, empowerment. We realize that while we can't control everything that happens around us, we can influence how our own energy interacts with the environment. Every gesture of serenity, every positive thought, every moment of conscious compassion acts as an anchor, stabilizing not only our own vibration, but also contributing to greater balance in the space we occupy. Emmanuel teaches us that this awareness is fundamental for those who wish to navigate life more consciously, and that the spiritual journey includes learning to deal with the hidden truths that lurk behind the scenes of everyday life. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because true transformation happens when we begin to identify these subtle energies in our own daily experience. By paying attention to the sensations, impacts, and reactions of the body and mind, we can perceive patterns that previously went unnoticed. We discover that every decision, every thought, every attitude in the face of suffering has a direct impact on how we feel and how we influence the environment around us. It's an invitation to reflect on how our presence, even silent, carries weight and meaning, shaping what we call invisible reality. And it is precisely this awareness that allows us to understand that every emergency room, every space charged with emotion, is also an opportunity for learning and growth. We can begin to develop a mindset capable of dealing with the impact of external energies without losing ourselves, cultivating clarity, serenity, and compassion. Even in the most challenging moments, Emmanuel's revelation shows us that none of this is distant theory. It is applicable knowledge, capable of transforming our way of living, feeling, and interacting with the world around us. By realizing this, you begin to see the invisible behind the scenes of every space you frequent. Understand how emotions and thoughts spread, and value every conscious gesture that helps balance collective energy. It's a profound lesson in responsibility, perception, and spiritual connection, expanding our understanding of how the world truly works and how we can positively influence the environment we inhabit. And if you resonated with all of this, connected with this perception, and want to share your own experience, write in the comments, "This resonates with me." I want to know how you perceived these energies, what emotions arose, and how this resonates with your own journey. It is in this space of exchange that we can further deepen our understanding of the invisible energy that surrounds us. It is here that true reflection begins to expand. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic because understanding the dynamics of energies in environments filled with suffering serves not only as a means of observation, but also as a means of transforming the very way we relate to the world and ourselves. Emmanuel, through the messages psychographed and validated by Chico Xavier, revealed to us that every space filled with pain, such as emergency rooms, functions as a reflection of intense human emotions, but also offers an opportunity for learning and spiritual growth. The key is to realize that we are not merely passive receptors of this energy. We can interact with it consciously, maintaining our inner light and even positively influencing the environment around us. When we encounter the desperation of a family member crying at a bedside, the silent fear of patients awaiting news, or the constant tension of professionals rushing to save lives, all of this impacts us. And it is precisely at this point that Emmanuel's lessons become practical. He teaches us that, even amidst this energetic density, we can adopt attitudes that preserve our balance. Small gestures, such as maintaining conscious breathing, cultivating positive thoughts, and adopting a serene attitude, act as true spiritual shields. It's not about disconnecting from empathy, but about developing discernment and awareness to avoid being sucked under the weight of other people's emotions. Furthermore, the practice of conscious compassion proves transformative. Emmanuel shows us that by dealing with others' pain in a balanced way, without absorbing it entirely, we can radiate light amidst the emotional darkness of the environment. Every gesture of support, every word of comfort, or even a serene look acts as a positive vibration, silently spreading throughout the space, helping to alleviate collective tension. This is one of the most powerful hidden truths he shared, that the energy we emit has a direct impact on the dynamics of any environment and, at the same time, on our own mind and body. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, highlighting the idea that these practices are not limited to extreme situations in hospitals. They are applicable in any life context charged with intense emotion, a stressful work environment, family conflicts, personal crises, or even moments of deep introspection in the face of internal challenges. The transformation Emmanuel proposes is both philosophical and practical, cultivating a mindset that allows us to discern between what belongs to us and what is absorbed from outside, making conscious decisions that preserve our balance. This journey of spiritual awareness and protection helps us develop emotional resilience and mental clarity, as well as expanding our understanding of the impact each thought and emotion has on the world around us. Another fascinating revelation is that the simple act of becoming aware of one's own energy already initiates a cycle of transformation. When we notice how our emotions react to the environment and begin to adopt attitudes of serenity, we are, in practice, strengthening our spiritual presence. Emmanuel psychographed that this awareness acts as a kind of internal compass, guiding our decisions, regulating our energy, and allowing us to maintain integrity in tense situations. The authority of these messages is reinforced by Chico Xavier, who validated his observations, assuring that they are not baseless abstractions, but principles applicable to real life and the everyday experience of anyone. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, exploring the idea that spiritual protection doesn't have to be complicated or far from practical reality. Simple techniques, such as breathing deeply before entering an emotionally charged space, visualizing a field of light around the body, or maintaining compassionate intentions without absorbing the weight of others' suffering, are effective and accessible tools. They act as anchors, allowing us to remain centered even when the environment seems to be trying to unbalance us. Furthermore, the impact of these practices extends beyond the individual. By keeping our energy balanced, we help create a positive frequency that influences the collective, easing tensions and contributing to the harmony of the space. It's fascinating to see how these lessons, though deeply spiritual, have concrete effects on everyday life. They teach us that every choice, every thought, every attitude toward emotionally charged challenges has a direct, visible, and invisible effect on our personal journey and the environment we inhabit. Emmanuel invites us to reflect on our own decisions, how we react to suffering, how we position ourselves in energetically charged spaces, and how our intentions shape the reality around us. By internalizing these messages, we begin to realize that transformation doesn't depend on major external changes, but on how we interact with the world, the conscious choices we make, and the energy we choose to radiate. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, emphasizing that this understanding leads us to a philosophy of life that unites practice, awareness, and spirituality. It's a mindset that recognizes the importance of caring for one's own energy without neglecting empathy, making conscious decisions even in the face of chaos, and of realizing that the impact of our actions and thoughts extends far beyond what we can see. By adopting this perspective, we begin to see each emotionally charged situation as a learning opportunity, a chance to strengthen our presence and, simultaneously, to radiate serenity and balance to everyone who shares our space. And as we reflect on all this, a silent invitation to introspection emerges. How can we apply these lessons in our own lives to keep the light burning? Even in the most intense and challenging moments, it's an invitation to see each situation of crisis or suffering as an opportunity for transformation, conscious decision-making, and expansion of consciousness. Perceiving the energy that surrounds us and applying these techniques in practice allows us to create a more balanced relationship with ourselves, others, and the environment around us, promoting a true, silent revolution in the way we experience reality. If you felt any connection to all of this and want to share your own perception, write in the comments. I'm on this journey too. I want to know how you perceive these energies and how it impacts your own journey. Because it is precisely in this space of exchange that we can further expand our understanding of the invisible influence that surrounds us and the choices we can make to navigate with balance and awareness. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding the impact of energies in places filled with suffering leads us to a deeper reflection on life itself and the way we connect with the world. Emmanuel taught us, through the messages psychographed by Chico Xavier, that suffering doesn't have to become a spiritual burden that consumes or defines us. Even in the densest environments, where pain seems to accumulate and despair becomes almost palpable, there is the possibility of radiating light and balance. It's a hidden truth that few perceive immediately, but which, when applied, transforms not only the way we feel, but also the way we relate to those who share the same space and the same energy. When thinking about the corridors of a hospital, or any place charged with intense emotion, we can perceive how every gesture, every word, and even every silence contributes to the construction of a collective energy field. Emmanuel described the impact of this field as subtle yet profound. Patients, families, and professionals absorb these energies almost automatically, often unconsciously. The reflection he proposes is simple yet powerful. Pain and suffering need not become a spiritual prison. We can choose to maintain our serenity, cultivate positive thoughts and compassionate attitudes, and thereby create a wave of balance that affects not only ourselves, but also the collective energy of the environment. This understanding invites us to observe our own lives more closely. How often do we let the weight of external situations, other people's emotions, or momentary crises become unnecessary baggage? Emmanuel shows us that the path to light lies not in ignoring suffering or disconnecting from empathy, but in learning to consciously navigate these spaces, realizing where our responsibility ends and external influence begins. Every conscious decision we make in the face of a difficult situation is, in practice, an act of transformation. It is an opportunity to train our own mind, our own energy, and to realize that even amidst chaos, it is possible to maintain integrity, clarity, and compassion. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because this awareness isn't just theoretical. It directly influences our mindset, our choices, and the quality of our journey. Imagine, for example, entering a place where there is suffering, but managing to maintain a serene presence, an attentive and compassionate gaze, without letting yourself be dragged down by the emotional weight of the environment. This attitude generates an invisible but real impact. It creates a space where tension dissipates minimally, where collective energy is balanced, and where our own mind and body remain protected. Emmanuel explains that this practice of active awareness is a path to strengthening not only our emotional resilience, but also our practical spirituality. It's fascinating to see how these lessons connect us to something greater. The idea that every human being has the capacity to positively influence the environment around them, even without grand gestures or explicit demonstrations. Small decisions, such as remaining calm in the face of suffering, expressing empathetic thoughts, or simply breathing consciously, are acts of profound impact. They reflect a mindset of personal responsibility, showing that we can transform what would otherwise be mere pain into learning, growth, and shared light. Emmanuel reminds us that the spiritual journey is not just about seeking distant transcendental experiences, but about understanding and applying these principles behind the scenes of everyday life. In the places where life reveals itself in its rawest and truest form. By bringing this reflection to the practical level, we begin to realize the importance of caring for our own energy with attention and intention. Every moment of crisis or despair around us is an opportunity to choose how to react, how to maintain serenity, and how to contribute to balancing the collective energy. This conscious care connects us to a broader vision where we understand that pain doesn't need to become a spiritual burden, and that the light we radiate, even silently, can transform environments and relationships. It's a learning experience that combines philosophy, spirituality, and practice, demonstrating that energetic responsibility is as real as any decision we make in our daily lives. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, bringing to light the reflection on how this awareness affects not only external environments, but also our own self-perception. When we learn to protect our energy, cultivate serenity, and emit compassion without overburdening ourselves, we are, in practice, shaping our own journey. Each conscious step, each decision not to absorb the weight of others, and each moment of serene presence strengthens our connection with the hidden truth that we are, by nature, capable of being light, even in the densest environments. This philosophical and practical perception allows us to understand that our energy is an extension of our choices, and that each gesture, each thought, and each reaction contributes to creating a more balanced and transformative reality. And, by reflecting on this, we begin to see that places of suffering need not be viewed solely as sources of exhaustion or discomfort. They can become spaces for learning, introspection, and spiritual strengthening. Every experience, every challenge, every interaction in emotionally charged environments is an opportunity to cultivate presence, discernment, and balance. Emmanuel teaches us that by internalizing these lessons, we not only preserve our energy, but also radiate stability and compassion, positively influencing everyone around us. It's a silent yet powerful way to transform reality, creating impact and revelations that extend beyond what we can immediately perceive. If you've connected with these ideas and want to reflect further on how they resonate with your own experience, write in the comments, "This resonates with me." I want to know how you perceive the energy around you, how you react to emotionally charged environments, and how this reflection impacts your own journey. It's precisely in this space of exchange that we can deepen our understanding of the invisible influence that surrounds us and the power we have to consciously interact with it. And if you've made it this far, thank you for joining me on this. The journey of reflection on energy, compassion, and spiritual awareness. If these words touched you in any way, why not leave a comment? I'm with you until the end. It'll be amazing to see who else joined this conversation and to hear how these ideas resonate with you. If you felt this content brought clarity, inspiration, or new perspectives, please give the video a like. This shows we're creating a genuine connection and helps keep this kind of reflection alive here on the channel. And if you want to continue exploring these messages, delving deeper into the hidden truths and lessons Emmanuel left us, there's a video right here that complements this topic. Click and follow me there. Oh, and if you're not yet part of our community, subscribe to the channel. Here we delve into topics that go beyond what meets the eye, sharing lessons and experiences that can transform your perception of life. The energy around you in your own spiritual journey. Let's continue together because there's still much to discover and reflect on.